Hey guys, it's Ashley here. Are you wanting to do something a little creative and colorful? Well, today we are going to show you how to do a double French tip look. Stay tuned. So what you're going to need today is you're going to need your nail strip that you want to use to make the double French tip, so whatever color that is. You're going to want a 5/8 inch circle punch. I like to always carry a pair of scissors, you never know. And you guys know that I love my sticky notes. So those are the things I'm going to recommend on how to do this look. So first things first, whenever you're doing something like a French tip look, you really don't need that many nail strips. So for this one, we're really going to want to focus a little bit more on a larger size. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a large thumbnail, and then I might work my way down to a smaller but still thick or wider nail strip. We're going to start with this and see where that gets us. So as with any of these, you're going to want to go ahead and take that plastic piece off first to work with your nail strip. This is actually the widest thumbnail, which is a little bit wider than what I normally use. And we're going to first start with the thumbnail. So I need to try to get my first tip. So I need to make sure that I'm getting enough for that. You can put it on your sticky note, especially once you get kind of further down the nail strip. So we're going to first go ahead and get my thumbnails, and this is really just to get size. I'm actually not going to start with my thumbnail. So we're going to clip the tip off because we don't actually need the tip, like so. And I'm actually going to make a couple of swoops real quick. So this first one is probably still a little too narrow for my thumbnail, so I'm going to go ahead and just make a tip maybe for one of my other fingernails. They're pretty long. My nails are actually really long right now, so I'm going to need a little bit more tips than probably most people are going to need. So let's go ahead and make that. All right, so let's go ahead and focus on our thumbnails because I'm going to need the larger strip for those. So my thumbnails are kind of medium length, so I'm going to need to make sure to get at least enough to get that. And then I'm going to want a second, much thinner piece. So I'm going to slide that in, and you're going to have to be real gentle with it to get this narrow piece. So see, I'm only going to get a very narrow sliver for this second piece. And this might take some practice because see how I didn't make it where it bounced right off. I just very gently moved it and then took it off the top piece while it's still punched. Now I'm going to release it. And I'm going to have to press it down. So if you haven't prepped your nails, make sure you go ahead and prep them. And we're going to start off by doing this first strip, the bigger strip first, and then I'm also going to do the rest. Now, I normally wouldn't tell you to start with your thumbnail, but you could put these to the side and work on it last. I'm using my handy dandy cuticle stick, so I'm just going to go ahead and work my thumbnails because I'm not going to use my thumbnails to remove any pieces on this one. So use your orange stick to help you get that backing off because it is harder to do without the tab. So you're going to pick it up like this. I like to then kind of press it down on it so I can finish removing the back. This also helps prevent oils from getting on it. So next you're just going to apply it as if you were doing a normal French tip. So I'm just going to press it down a little bit with my finger so that I can get that orange stick off. And then I like to kind of tug it to make sure I'm getting the right shape for my nail, because your nails might not be quite shaped like the round punch, especially the thumbnail. So you might have to kind of move it a little bit and stretch it. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth it down really well, and I'm going to tuck it over the edge like this. These French tips are going to be a little bit more fragile, so I'd like to go ahead and let them harden a little bit before I really start removing any tips on it. So if you have a rubber cuticle pusher, this is a real nice time to go ahead and use that, and go ahead and smooth down your edges right here. And we're going to let that sit for a little bit before we remove any of it, just because we're working with a very, very small piece. And I'm also going to kind of smooth it around the tip here as well, like so. So I'm pressing that nail strip along the tip here to allow it to go ahead and cling to it and also shrink a little bit. I'm just going to let it sit like that. This part's going to be a little bit harder to get off, so be patient with it because it is such a thin, thin strip. But you can get it up just like that. Okay, this is going to take some patience and a bit more coordination than normal. So you're going to start over here. So I just kind of found a spot where it was sticking, and I would use this to kind of gently smooth it down. Okay, and then you can also grab it or use a pair of tweezers to kind of also try to get where you can see. Also kind of just guide it along slowly to the shape of your nail, because again, it's trying to swoop up. So I'm going to tug it to kind of lay down where I want it to lay. Okay, so you see how I'm gently pressing to get the shape that I want, and I can pull it up a little and shape it on over. Like so. And again, we're going to smooth it down really good. And we're just going to let it sit until we finish the rest of our manicure. This is going to allow it to cling to the nail, so make sure you're getting your cuticle stick right down in there and pressing against the nail. That way it also adheres to this base piece here. It's going to be really important because while you're letting it sit, you're trying to make it adhere as best it can. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my other thumbnail, and we're going to try to do the rest of them as well. So again, you're seeing I'm doing a really thin piece, and I'm going to press up really slow. I'm going to use my orange stick to get it out and then bring it back down. So if you're looking, I kind of started this time working on this nail here. I kind of started on the edge this time, and I'm just kind of using my orange stick to kind of curve it as I press it down. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm taking it and I'm kind of sticking it to my cuticle stick. Sorry, I keep laying it back down. I don't mean to. Okay, so I had it stuck to my cuticle stick, and I was just kind of using that to kind of walk it along the edge and then lightly just push it down with my finger. You could also do this with your fingers like this. You're just kind of laying it down and pressing when you see that it's lined up where you want it to be. And now I'm kind of curving it as I'm pressing. And that's getting a little thicker, so I'm going to pull it up and move it a little bit again. Okay, so move it kind of to get the curvature that you're looking for. And these aren't supposed to be perfect. The one that I looked at had kind of swoops all over the place. It was really, really cute. So don't worry about being perfection. Just kind of lay it down where you think looks good and go for it. All right, I really think that the thumbs are going to be the hardest too, because they are not, since they are so wide, they don't fit perfectly with the same curve as the 5/8 inch. You could try using a larger one if you'd like. So now I'm gonna move on to my pointer finger. So there's not a whole lot left here, and my nails, like I said, are kind of long. So I might actually find a finger that works with what I have left here. So see if I have any that are short enough. I think this one will probably work. So let's go ahead and do this. Probably would have worked better on a video where I didn't have as long of nails. But oh well. Okay, so let's see if this will work with this finger. So see, that curve works a lot better with my thinner nails than they do with the thumbnail. So that was really, really easy. Same concept, tuck it over the edge and smooth down your tips. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of this. I don't need all these wings over here. But I am going to leave that little bit of edge and use my rubber cuticle stick to make sure I'm getting down onto the nail really well along my edges here, like so. And we'll come back and clean that up later. Okay, so now that I've got that down, I'm going to go ahead and work on my swoop. So I'm going to get a new nail strip out and start working there. And since I have my thumbnails done, I'm just going to move over to one of the other sizes that's a little smaller, just to preserve the thumbnail in case I want to do something creative later. So let's just find one that's kind of wider but isn't a thumbnail. Like that one. Let's work off of that. So again, I'm just going to clip off the tip because we're not going to use that. And then I'm going to make sure I've got enough length here, so I need to go down pretty far because of how long my nails are. Really like that, roundabouts. And now I'm going to make my little swoop next. So I'm going to have to put it on the sticky note in a minute. Okay, so I think I've got that lined up kind of where I want it. I'm going to gently pull up and snip it, and then pull it out before I release again. All right, pull this up. Go ahead and apply that to my longer nail. And we're going to get tuck. And now we're going to add the second swoop here. So because this one was a thinner nail strip and not the thumb, it kind of fit perfectly along the angle here. So I don't have to worry so much about cleaning up my sides later. I'm just going to clean up the nail strip here. And what I'm going to do later is I'm going to go ahead and file it. So I'm going to let it kind of go ahead and cure. And then I'm going to file straight down here in about 5 or 10 minutes. I just like to let it cure for a little bit before I file because I feel like if you go ahead and take it off right away, especially with solids, it's going to shrink a little and you're going to have wear on your edges. Whereas if you wait a little bit for it to cure before you file, it tends to not have that edge wear. So get our little swoop up. Like so. And we're just going to work it along the edge here. So I definitely liked it a little better when I walked it along on the thumb. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of push down. So I just used my thumbnail to kind of push, and I'm going to walk it and push. So I'm going to go ahead and using my orange stick here to kind of lay it where I want it to go. This just gives you a little bit more control. Okay, so now I'm getting a little bit better practice, and it looks a little bit better than my thumbnails did. Now, I could have probably moved this tip down a little to where the white was showing on my nail, and then done the swoop a little bit further up. You can do a thinner swoop. There's all kinds of different looks you can do with this. You could do a yellow, and then, let's see, you could do a yellow tip with like a blue swoop, or a blue with a yellow swoop. There's all kinds of different things you could do with this technique. So don't just feel like you're limited to just this one little look here. There's so many different ideas you can do off of just using this. Okay, so I think I'm going to try to do a thinner strip and move it down on this nail just to show you something a little different. So I'm going to put this on my sticky note. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little tip for my pointer. And then I'm going to see how thin I can get this. Okay, let's see. That is a lot thinner. Let's see if it'll clip. Yes, it did. Okay, we got it. So let's get this off again. Like so. All right, I'm going to bring this up on the white just a little bit, just because of how long my nails are right now. I feel like it might look a little bit better. So let's see. All right, so I'm tucking like this. All right, so I've got the white of my nail showing a little bit there. The picture that I used as a reference for this, they had rounded nails like my pointer is here. These two tend to be a little bit more square even when I try to round them, and then my pinky gets really rounded too. So it would just, I've noticed with the square nails, it almost looks better if you go straight across rather than curved like this. So that's also an idea. If you have a square nails, just do, you might just play around with it, because I feel like the straight across looked really, really good on the square nails. All right, so this one's going to be a little harder, I think, because it is so thin, but we shall see. It's more because I have that overlay and not a whole lot of control of my fingers. Okay, actually I started getting it, so it's really hard to hold. Okay, so we got it up, but I got to get it on my orange stick here. That is a really, really thin strip here. All right, so I'm going to put it, basically just walk it right along the white of my finger. So let's get that where I want it. Perfect. And I'm just going to kind of press it down. See if you can, there we go. So I just started it over here on the edge, and I'm just going to kind of walk it along to be as even as I can with this other one. So this just takes patience, but it's really cute. Okay, so I'm going to lift that up again. And lay it back down. There we go. Okay. I'm going to take my cuticle stick because I notice this is not sticking very well, so I'm going to tuck and then do like that. Okay, so that gives you an idea. I'll clean this up in a minute and let you kind of compare, but I personally do like this a little bit better, where it is more of just a tip with that than doing this really, really long tip with the curve. But personal preference again. Another thing you could do is you could also, if you were doing two different colors, you could butt this up right against the yellow and then swoop it off to the side. Let's see if we can do that real quick. Try something else a little different. So I'm going to take my blue Dapist and we're going to see what we can do there, because I think that might look kind of neat. The yellow I'm using is Belgian Buttercup, which is from the 2020 spring collection. Blue Dapist was a summer shade, which is now retired if I remember correctly, but there are all kinds of colors out there. All right, so let's see here. Go ahead and use my tip. And I'm going to go ahead and do the best that I can here. So I am kind of getting it just over the white again. A little bit further up than here, and a little further down than this one. We're just playing around here, now that I've showed you the technique. Okay, I'm going to smooth this under here. And I'm also going to tuck this if I can. Okay, so let's take our blue Dapist here and create a little bit different look. All right, take that tip off because we don't need it. And I'm going to get a medium size here, I think. That's what we're going to go with. Let's see what we can do. All right, again, take this off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up as best as I can with this yellow first. I probably should have done a wider strip. And then, yeah, I didn't do a wide enough strip. All I'm doing is I lined it up here with the yellow, and you could line it up a little further down too. So I'm just kind of lining it up with the yellow. And then once I have it kind of pressed down, I'm going to kind of stretch it and curve it up and press as I'm curving. Like that. And you can do a little bit more of a dramatic swoop up as well. That probably would have looked a little better to have done a little bit more dramatic. I'm not sure if I can lift it up at this point. We can try. I might tear it, but that's okay. We're just playing around and practicing. Oh, yep, tore it. Okay, well, you got an idea of what I was talking about. So I just kind of lightly stretched it and brought it up here on the side. So that's kind of that. All right, let's go ahead and, it's been a few minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and take these edges off here so we can have a little bit better look of what I was talking about. So this is tearing a lot nicer. If you kind of wait, if you don't wait and you do it while it's wet, it tends to try to move this piece here and you can mess up your manicure. Whereas if you wait a couple minutes, it gives it time to kind of harden a little bit, and it's a lot easier to take those edges off of the fragile pieces. So like if you're pressing here, and you're pushing down, it'll just kind of move that piece if it's not ready yet. Okay, so that came off really, really nice on that. This one might have not sat very much. You'll see what I'm talking about. If you do it a little too soon, you'll notice it'll move. You'll notice. All right, go ahead and get that off, which we didn't even do. Let's try to do the blue Dapist over here again too, on this side. All right, and edges off here. Okay, so again on the blue depth, I touched it there. I'm going to walk it along a little bit using my orange cuticle stick is sitting there so that I'm not pressing down on the nail anywhere else. I'm just going to go ahead and press here pretty firm because when you stretch it, you don't want it to come off. Okay. And now I'm going to pull very, very gently. And you want, this strip is a little bit wider than my finger is. So I'm going to just gently pull it up. And as I pull, I can press down a little. And just keep walking it up here to give you a little bit more of a swoop with a little bit of a negative manicure over here. So it looks a lot better. And I'm just going to leave it for a second for it to do its thing and cure before I cut off this piece here. So let's go ahead and rub that down. Okay, awesome. Let me finish up the look and I'll come back and show you final results in a minute. Let's try this again on this finger so I can look better for the photo. That looks pretty. Pinky. All right, guys, here is the final look here. You can see I did a blue damask on the pinky just to kind of tie that in there. You can obviously do it all with the same color, but this is just showing you some different ideas here. So there you go. There is a double swoop mani in several different ways, double swoop French tip, whatever you want to call it. But I hope that gave you some inspiration, some ideas on a new technique that you can use. And if you have any questions, drop it below. If there's a certain type of image you'd like, or a certain type of manicure you want me to do, just drop me an image. I'd be happy to try to recreate it. And thank you guys so much. So go out there and be creative.